Hey everyone, I'm Lisa, and today I'd like to share an easy way to interpret difficult card spreads. It's also a perfect morning exercise to center yourself, to remember who you are and why you're here. I don't know about you, but I wake up, during my sleep, I'm traveling all over the universe. And some mornings I wake up, I don't know who I am, where I am, why I am. I really need a good exercise like this just to come back to earth. This will clear your mind. It'll connect you to the higher power. Use it for shadow work, for connecting to your subconscious mind to know what needs reprogramming, and for mediumship, animal communication. What is this method I'm speaking about? It is automatic writing. Now, if you're new to using the Petit Lenormand, which is what I'm using here, or divination cards in general, well, you're in the right place. There are over 200 videos on this channel that are here to help you. Check out the playlists and start with the one called Lenormand Beginners Start Here. There's also a playlist for individual card meanings. And of course, my books, which are available from all major booksellers. So this is the first book. If you're just getting started with the Petit Lenormand, this is what you want, the Petit Lenormand Oracle. This is the Grand Tableau book, the Traditional Method of Distance Grand Tableau. And then this book is the Grand Jeu Lenormand, which is an entirely different card system. So I'm showing you this so that you do not confuse it with the other two. Okay, now before we begin, there's one very important step that must come before all others, and that is your mindset, your beliefs, how you're flowing your energy. You have to get a handle on that first. Now I'm going to explain this as it is explained in shamanism. Shamanism is considered one of the oldest spiritual practices. It dates back nearly 10,000 years, and it encompasses both divination and energy healing. Shamans act as intermediaries between the spiritual and physical realms, and when we perform divination or energy healing, basically that is what we are doing. We are acting as intermediaries, as conduits, as channels that receive the energy that we are asking for. Now, in shamanism, all practices are performed through ceremony. And when we use cards to receive higher guidance, we are performing a ceremony. But it's a ceremony that must be felt, not just acted out. And that is the only way it will work correctly. It has to be a simple ceremony, too. A simple ceremony that has personal meaning for you will speak to you. It will feed your soul. An elaborate ceremony that was designed by someone else, that has many steps that aren't naturally flowing forth from you, will keep you tied to your logical mind, and that's what we're trying to bypass. Too many steps, too many rules will cause you to lose your focus. So keep it simple and follow your inner guidance on how to proceed. You need to enter into this exercise with a clear intention and concentrate on it and focus all of your energy there like a laser pointer. All right? Otherwise, you're scattering your energy all over the place. All you'll do is get tired and you won't get anywhere. Okay. Now, remember always what it is that you want to know. What solution or answer do you seek? Focusing there is paramount. You also need to focus on the belief in a benevolent universe, in God or a higher power that wants you to succeed. And that belief, that faith, that trust will keep your vibration high. It'll keep you in the light. It'll tune you into the station that will broadcast the highest guidance. If you are focusing on a problem or feelings of doubt or fear, your vibration will lower and you are going to tune into the wrong station. It'll be a station that has nothing of value for you. All right? Now, as you proceed through this process, know that other questions may surface, and that's normal. Don't fight them. Just thank them and ask them to wait their turn. Now, if they won't leave you alone, just jot them down on a little pad. I always keep a little notepad next to where I'm working and a pen. I used to have to write so many things down because my thoughts just wouldn't leave me alone. But now I almost never do. And why? Because I practice this every day and have been for years now. Practice makes perfect. Okay, you know, it's a muscle, right? Use it or lose it. It'll get easier. Okay, now know that when you write those little distracting thoughts down, as soon as you write them down, they will leave you alone because now they've been heard. All right. Now, I have all of these steps for this process, how to perform automatic writing for card interpretation. And I am going to include a condensed version of these steps in the description box so that you can save it or print it or whatever you do with it. Okay, so let's just run through these steps basically here, or quickly. All right, so, first you got to prepare your space. You want it to be quiet, comfortable, minimal distractions, all of that, right? You need to get everything ready. So have the deck ready. I'm using the Anna K. Lenormand for this exercise. And you want to have whatever you're going to be writing with, okay? So that could be your computer, okay? That could be a journal, a notebook, just a piece of paper, right? A pen, a quill and parchment, a rock and chisel. Honestly, it doesn't matter. Just have something to write with, okay? So just get all that ready first. Now, this is super important. You cannot skip this next step because you have to be at least in alpha brain state, or theta preferably, but at least alpha, in order to perform automatic writing. So you have to meditate. You've got to meditate, even if it's one of those guided 5-minute meditations that you do right before you after you get everything ready, and you want to just put your headphones on and do a quick 5-minute guided meditation. That's fine. I personally always use headphones, and I pretty much listen to Theta brain entrainment music. And then you want to breathe. Just as with energy healing, with divination, you want to breathe. You're inhaling spirit, okay? You want to focus on your breathing, because focusing on your breathing will also focus your mind. It'll quiet your mind. It'll help you focus on what you're doing. There are so many different ways of breathing, meditative breathing. I like 7-3-7-3. It's inhale 7, hold for 3, exhale 7, hold for 3. Okay, and I keep going around. I do at least 3 rounds of the breathing. Okay, and then whenever I get distracted, if I do throughout the process, I'll go back to my breathing. That's what brings you back. Okay, then you want to decide who you're connecting to for your guidance. Your higher self is a great place to start. Now, if you work with a spirit guide, call them in. Ask them to connect you to the highest source to share the information you seek. All right. You can also ask to be protected. Visualize that bubble of light surrounding you. And that will help you stay calm and centered so that you keep your vibration high. Okay. Also, thank source for the guidance you're about to receive. Now you're practicing gratitude. Again, it keeps your vibration high. All right. All right. So now you're in the right mindset. You're in the right physical state, mental state, emotional state. Okay. Now you want to focus on your particular question. All right. If you have a spread that you are already working with, this is a spread that you already drew, you couldn't figure it out, and that's why you're doing this, well, your cards are already drawn, it's all ready to go. But just keep remembering what your question was for those cards. If you're drawing cards for this exercise, now you want to pick up your deck, you want to start shuffling, okay? And I typically draw 3 cards for this exercise, but you can draw as many as you want. You can even lay a grand tableau, but you want to decide that ahead of time. So you decided already how many cards you're going to draw. Now you're shuffling as you remind yourself of your question, okay? Then you draw the cards. How do I draw cards? Well, this is how I shuffle. I'm not a fancy schmancy shuffler. As you can see. And then, whoops, yeah, we got a couple that turned over here. I just fan them out in my hand, and I draw them by feel. Some people shuffle, shuffle, shuffle until they get a message saying you've shuffled enough. They put them down. They just draw them off the top. They already decided how many they're going to draw. Other people cut the deck. There are so many ways of doing it, and they are all correct. You just have to choose one and decide ahead of time and then do it. In other words, you can't just change your mind because you drew a card off the top of the deck and you didn't like it and you said, oh no, you know what, I'm just going to draw them by feel. No, you have to decide ahead of time and stick to it. All right. And as you can see, I always lay my cards face down first anyway. So, if the first card was one I didn't like, well, I don't know that yet anyway. So they're already drawn. I'm done, drawing cards before I even look at them. All right. So then you want to turn them over, give them a quick glance. Again, you go back to your breathing. Take a few deep diaphragmatic breaths, close your eyes, and just just defocus them by staring at a spot on the page as you remind yourself of what you're asking, what information you're seeking. Okay? Now, before your thinking mind kicks in, you want to start writing. All right? Because now you're ready to start writing. So you have your fingers on your keyboard, or you have your pen, pretend this is a pen, you have your pen touching the page. All right? And all of a sudden you're ready to write. Okay? Just if you can't think of anything to write, you don't want to engage the conscious mind, so just start swirling, swirling, swirling. I mean, I have pages and pages and pages when I started doing this of swirlies, swirlies, swirlies. I was writing on my table. I was off the page because my eyes were closed. And that was before I was able to do it on the computer. Yeah, but I did a lot of just doodling, and then all of a sudden words would pop up, and a lot of the words where I have no idea what to write. I don't think I'm doing this right. Nothing's coming. Where are you? Hello, hello, hello. There's a lot of stuff like that. But you know what? Eventually, stuff started coming. Just stick with it. Okay. Okay, so you want to keep writing until the flow stops. You may even sense the word stop or end. Okay, I've already heard the Porky Pig, the old cartoon ending. That's all, folks. I mean, whatever it takes, however it comes. Okay, now when I do this, I never look at what I'm writing. Okay, I never think about grammar, spelling, any of that. I keep my eyes closed actually through the whole process because I use a computer. But when I was still using handwriting, I would do the just squinty eyes, and sometimes I would close one eye and then I would close the other eye. And every time I started becoming too conscious, I would close my eyes again and go back to my breathing, and then I would come back. So just play around with it. Okay, your method is going to be your method. All right. Okay, so when you're all done, then you can open your eyes fully and read over what you've got. Okay, you can organize it and put it together to get a message. All right, so let's look at this example. Now, I drew these cards earlier, asking for 3 cards with the question, what can we do to make our lives easier and more rewarding? All right, so what kind of question is this? This isn't like, will my horrible cheating boyfriend come back to me? No, this is not a fortune telling question. This is a divination question. This is a spiritual question. Okay, that's pretty much what I use the cards for. All right, so what can we do to make our lives easier and more rewarding? I drew the sun, the book, and the moon. Now, so the sun can represent our energy. It's our light. It's our aura, okay, our energy field. It's what we are sending out into the world and into the universe. It is output. The moon, on the other hand, is how that light or energy bounces back to us. It shows what is being reflected back to us based on what we emit. It is input, output, input, okay? The book in the center shows the mystery that lies between them. It represents something of significance that is about to be revealed to you. Whoops, that is what the book means, okay? The book indicates sacred information, unlike the mortal words represented by the letter card or the senseless chatter of the birds card. The book is sacred information, okay? So the book is asking you to be open to learning how your output is bringing about what comes back to you. The book asks you to discover how your energy is causing the reflection of the moon. All right. What thoughts and emotions are you predominantly practicing every day? They are what determine what comes back to you, right? Because that's your output. And what comes back to you shows up in the words, feelings, and actions of everyone around you, people, animals, situations that you attract, events that you will encounter, right? That's all being caused by you, by what you're outputting. Okay, that's your input. All right, so if you are wondering why you aren't receiving great spiritual insights, you must begin by examining your sun, your hara. Okay, do you know what the hara is? If you practice Reiki or certain forms of meditation or yoga, you probably do. It is defined physically as the belly or the physical center of the body, but it is also defined as the heart mind, right? Or the soul. I think it's more accurately defined as the center of our spiritual energy. Okay. So, what is the answer to my question? Do you even remember the question? This is why I say to you, you have to keep coming back to your question. You have to keep reminding yourself of what your question was if you want the answer. Okay. So, the question was, what can we do to make our lives easier and more rewarding? The answer lies in learning and discovering how we are using our energy. Okay? It lies in taking note of what we're thinking about and the words we use in speaking to and speaking to and about ourselves and others, right? It's about the actions we take. It is our own energy and how we use it that determines what comes back to us. So everything that happens to us is somehow attracted by us. Our work is to open that sacred book where all is written. Okay? It is our user manual. It's our subconscious or unconscious user manual. It's the book of the Akashic Records, the book of life. Read it and start rewriting it. Yes, you can rewrite it. That's why you're here. Okay, that's our job, and no one can do it but us. We can only do it ourselves. Okay? That's it. All right. I think that was long enough. Thank you so much for watching, and now go play with your cards. Bye, everybody.